Thank you to Huel for sponsoring this video. More on them in just a bit.
Coy,
Yes.
you chose a wonderful week to come back to America. Wow, did you choose the right week to come back
Within hours of landing.
for this Real Rejects Movie News podcast? Amazing timing.
First thing I've shot since I got back.
Nothing could be more perfect, man.
Yes.
Nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking, of course, about the Avengers Doomsday cast list reveal. And I figured there's like three ways we can do it.
Okay.
Obviously, I figured we can go through in order of how they revealed it. And we could also talk about who we thought might have been on the list but wasn't.
Okay.
And then we could talk about this strange marketing ploy they pulled right before we filmed. I was like, Coy, here's how we'll do it. Okay, I'm going to pull up the live stream. We'll just hop it. It's like every 10 minutes. And then they released a minute and 47
Oh,
second
wait, they
version.
officially, they
On
did?
their official channel, minute
thought
47
someone
seconds.
cut it.
It is the
It's
weirdest.
theirs?
This is simultaneously the most boring and most fascinating way to do.
They dominated the news cycle
They did.
like the DMV.
Yes. You're looking at chairs.
The only place I look at the back of chairs is the DMV.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest, lackluster, but also it worked.
It's boring, waiting for a hit of dopamine. That's what it is.
And
the entire
everyone
time.
was there all, so many people I know were there all day. Hundreds of thousands of people watched seats.
complaining, but they stuck around.
In the thing, adding engagement. Now, I admittedly watched this morning. I woke up and you and I were texting between 8 and 9. I saw those names. I then did an hour of coverage thinking it would end within 3 hours. No. So I have admittedly seen up until 11:45. It went on another, I think I only caught the first half. So I just want to be fair to our audience that I have seen some names, but I didn't want to see the big names because we decided to do this.
Speaking of that, then,
You knew this going in.
if you can...
Don't act like I'm lying to you.
I'm not. That's not what I'm doing at all. I want to be, hey, what's in the shot here? This is cool. This is some new stuff.
Oh, hey. That's a cool little sound booth.
Yeah. At some point in the show, someone's just going to stand right there and start recording some VO.
They're going to read the names. They're going to read all of them. There's going to have a voiceover actor. Lawrence Fishburne.
I added the director's chair in tribute to the ceremony today.
Actually, that is
nicely
funny
done,
for the
John.
first time that's in the
Nicely
shot.
done. That's very funny.
It says Avengers Doomsday in the back of that chair. It's just all the names.
I was going to ask if you could allow me some grace to speak for about like a minute or two on us being here today before we go into everything.
Sure.
Now that we've established what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I have this habit of when I start to speak, I think primarily with you and John, I rush a little bit because I'm worried I'm going to be like interrupted or something. And I thought about this earlier, and it's not really to do with you guys. It's this accountability I have to take on my own end. One is I think you guys are such both great speakers. There's this insecurity that comes out of me. So I start rushing and I start saying a lot of ands and ums. And I'm someone who in conversation who kind of embraces a bit of the silence. Like I'm okay with that. Generally, yeah. But I notice sometimes when we're recording, I do that. So that's why I'm asking for the grace. Or perhaps you interrupt because I have nothing really interesting to say. But no, I think there's the other side too where you're perhaps... I hope the editors get that as I'm talking. I was like, "What?"
I was going to explain myself. I literally was
like a DJ right there.
I was afraid I forget what I'm going to say. That's why I interrupt.
That's why I interrupt too.
So I
That's
went-
another thing.
Hold it.
Yes.
Hold it.
That's why I normally have my journal because I'm insecure that I'm not going to remember what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And it distracts me from listening sometimes. So I want to get it out. However, whatever reasons there are, I wanted to express this before we film today. All three of us individually have had very particularly challenging days today. All three of us. John is very much an essential part of this operation of this movie news podcast. And I appreciate the readjustment all of us have had. Normally we upload these on Fridays, and normally we do multiple stories. Today we're going to do just one. Today, it really dawned on me. I knew how much I personally cared about this show that we're doing. I already knew that. It really hit me even more so today. I kind of had a Rocky II moment, as I told you in text message, because one of my insecurities with you guys in particular is I have this envy that both of you, even if you guys barely get any sleep, I know this from living with John for a couple of years, you guys can get like 2 hours of sleep. You roll out of bed and you guys are like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm a zombie. Then the camera hits record and you guys are just flowing and fluid. And man, you guys sound so smart and articulate. I don't have that skill. I feel like I have to do so much generally. So before it was, a lot of doing more Adderall than was prescribed to me. It was, a lot of Cheech and Chong greens. It was a lot of that in order to function. And now I have to meditate and exercise before I do that. Today, I didn't get to do any of that. I was at the ER with my wife all day. And it was a very interesting time. So I stopped listening to the news thing around Ian McKellen time because
I hadn't gotten him yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So that's one I know.
Well,
and actually, I assume that explains a lot. Now I know a lot of context. Okay, go on, sir.
So yeah, when it got to the Ian McKellen part, I found myself like, no, I should be here with my wife. And I was having that like push and pull of like, what am I doing? I'm getting distracted by something. So I like deleted the apps. And that's why there's some I don't know about.
Yeah.
But then when she was okay, it was like that Rocky 2 Adrian moment of win, go have fun. Because Coy and I believe John too, just as real rejects as a whole, we really believe movies and shows are an extension of our identities. There's something that I was telling you just yesterday that if there was a mission statement for Real Rejects, I feel like it is about reminding people of the emotional connection of films and shows to storytelling. Because a lot of movie news feels like sports entertainment, feels like wrestling or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm very appreciative of the consistency of numbers that we get with this podcast for something that's brand new. I am very appreciative that even today I got a text message from a friend who's like, hey, I've been listening to this. This is great. And someone bumps into me usually once a week who brings this up, this podcast. And I love getting that validation for something that I feel like we will be doing without the validation already.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it because I already feel like being able to feel our feelings and encourage people to express their feelings comes in the form of reactions, and to be able to do that through the dialogue of what we do here. It meant a lot that even in spite of the crazy days that we've had today, even though I couldn't do any of my routine to get into the proper state and I've had like kind of a really hard day with barely any sleep, I was very excited to come here to talk with you today.
Yeah, man.
I was very excited to do this. So thank you.
I'm in a much better headspace to do this than a movie reaction, which we had originally scheduled. And like the movie we're going to watch, I think I'm going to love because it's a director I love. It's an actor I'm excited for that movie. So it's not like one of the ones where it's like, it's popular and you might or might not. Like it's one that I'm genuinely excited for. I would rather do 5 hours of this than a 2-hour movie reaction, even if I like, just because this is my preferred medium. I do all of the other things we do as a means to this. Like to me, it's about conversation. It's about the emotionality you get out of reactions. I don't quite tap into as deep. And we've talked about that a lot. That's kind of how the show started, was that lack of connection. Whereas when I have a conversation, I find new things in dialogue that unearth emotions later. So I love what we're doing is looking at it from the lens of why does it affect us? How does it affect us? What's the context to the individual versus a headline? And that's what's so interesting about this rollout is I'm of exactly two minds about it. On one side, I think you should always find ways to be inventive. You should always find things that are going to keep the audience's attention. You should always have new things that are going to take over the cultural zeitgeist. I will literally never look at a director's chair the same way.
I know.
It has changed. Like, that's a great thing. Like, the memes, it writes itself. Like, you can make a shirt of this experience day one. That is genius. On the other side, the exact opposite is 6 hours of one camera move that is just pulling with sound effects added and 12 to 14 minute gaps is insane. But it worked.
It worked.
So my love of publicity and the art of advertising side thinks it's genius. My respect for people's time does not.
Yes.
6 hours is a school day.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because when I was on, I refuse to call it X, when I was on Twitter, it was fascinating the development of Photoshop, or most likely AI, with how they were able to swap in other people's names so fast on those chairs.
Did you see what I posted?
No, what did you post?
You know the other format where it's actor confirmed and it's their role and then the Doomsday logo? I played Chris Pratt's little brother in a movie. So I shared Star-Lord's best man from Bride Wars confirmed for Avengers Doomsday with the same post that looks like a formal announcement of me being in Doomsday. And like so many people were like, wait, what? And I was like, yes.
Right? I would see like Tom Cruise's name pop up and everything.
Might be true.
Might be. I found myself going, really?
Yeah.
I guess that's my point with the fascination behind this, because it is such a idiotic way to me personally, offhand, this sounds so stupid to do it this way. And the fact that they even decided to release a 2-minute version of something that they literally stretched out. It's like a season of one of their Disney Plus shows. They stretched it out into a 5-hour live stream.
But get the clicks on both. I think it's genius. They literally had 6 hours of ad revenue, and then they were like, but we want the short one too, and did it themselves.
They did it in a way where they allowed a conversation to happen that was frustrating, but you could also see the tide turn when Patrick Stewart's name was brought up, and suddenly people were okay with this new methodology that is now a new meme and something that will be parodied forever, cementing the effect, the impact of what is otherwise a very boring strategy to do something.
And doesn't it show that Marvel's still the cultural juggernaut that it is?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because everybody's like, Marvel's
played into it, man.
Right. Like we're having this conversation about chairs because it's Marvel. And like any other company could not do this without being laughed at. And I'm sure plenty of people, I laughed at a few things being absurdist, but Marvel had hundreds of thousands of people watching for 6 hours. That's insane. That is like just to quantify people's attention spans, which are horribly truncated by TikTok and Instagram. 6 hours of hundreds of thousands of people.
I know, it's wild.
It is insane. That's longer than the Super Bowl. That's longer than the Oscars. Hundreds of thousands. They are still bigger than other entertainment to scale.
There were people live streaming this. I would love to know, like, a mutual friend like Christian Harloff, Brandon Davis, Straw Hat Goofy, what that must have been like when they woke up this morning and they go, all right, we're on top of this stream. And why has it been stuck on Chris Hemsworth for the last 10 minutes? Why hasn't it changed?
I lived the other side of it. I woke up and set in a stream for 8:30. I was like, by the time we know what it is, I'll go live and I'll catch up the end. Moved to day 45. Moved it to 9. Moved it to 9:15. Every 15 minutes, because that's the increment. I just changed it. Then at 9:45, I was like, I'm going to go live. It's got to end. Didn't. Bailed.
I thought it was broken. I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear the music. And I think I texted you that. Then once I turned the volume up, that's when I realized, like, this is so stupid. This is intentional what they're doing.
I also had a weird moment where I hate that I feel this, but I think Thor 4 hurt me so bad that when it started with Hemsworth, I was like, Like I was kind of, because I like Chris Hemsworth, but I like him so much more in Mad Max. I like him so much more. So when it was Chris Hemsworth, I was like, is it a Thor 5 announcement? Yeah. And I don't know how it ended, so I still don't know what's bigger than Doctor Doom. So like when it started with Chris Hemsworth and the rumor was like bigger than Downey, I was like, can it be?
All I know is it's a moment in movie news we're never going to forget. And whether it's good or bad, it's so strange because it's controversial in the most mundane way, because controversial would imply offensive. And I guess it's offensive if you read into you wasted people's time and energy.
A quarter of a day.
You know? But
you wasted someone's entire day.
But beyond that, what did you guys think about it? Did you stick around or just wait? I want to know what our audience did. And now, Coy, let's get on to the main event.
I want to know, man.
Let's see where this went. Okay, so it did kick off with Chris Hemsworth. That was the thing part of this journey, right? Was it wasn't for the first like 3 hours, it was like, okay,
sure.
That's about what I expect. Chris Hemsworth, though, I'm excited for what he's going to do. I have my concerns when it's an Avengers movie of this scale, because part of me is wondering, they probably left some other people off of this list, didn't they? It's probably going to be bigger.
Yeah.
And then Secret Wars is probably going to be even bigger than that. Chris Hemsworth, though, he has expressed some of the disappointment he has had with Thor, Love and Thunder. He has been in tune with the audience on that. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to this. As I know he has a voice when it comes to what they want to do with Thor, whether he's not just going to play into it.
I also think the best Thor I've seen is when it's in an Avengers film with Russo brothers. Mm-hmm. I think of the entire franchise.
Infinity War?
Infinity War and Endgame, I think of the best Thor.
Yeah.
Like, of all of it. And I like Thor 1. I don't love Dark World, but I like it a little bit more than other people. I still think that Thor in Endgame and Infinity War is better than Ragnarok.
I think in Endgame, I agree with you, because I haven't even put much thought into that. With Endgame, a lot of people will often go to, what do you mean? Fat Thor? You thought that was one of the best? that was the great blend of being able to do a funny version of Thor that still made sense character-wise. Even if you thought the joke got a little bit stale or overstayed its welcome, by the time it got to the finale, suddenly it was a Viking badass.
Right.
Yeah.
They earned an arc, even within an arc.
Even with Fat Thor, he was badass as shit in a look we hadn't quite seen.
And that's comics, and that's
Yeah.
also action figures. And then in Infinity War, the conversation with Rocket, and then the landing of what was it? Like
Bring me Thanos!
Yeah, like when he descends with like magic. So I'm excited for Chris Hemsworth.
Vanessa Kirby, Fantastic Four. That's an obvious one.
I thought it was interesting they went right from Avengers to Fantastic Four. That did feel like an obvious pivot. I think the moment was more about the camera moving, and then we were going to live there forever.
Goddamn, Coy, I gotta show you this video. So in the live stream, it looked like they were going, psh, wait a bit, pull the camera back, put another one. I'm just gonna play for you the first 8 seconds. It wasn't that at all, Coy. It is just one smooth pullback shot.
Forever.
It's just one. They're
in a giant soundstage.
They edited it to have these pauses for 10 minutes.
I can tell you almost exactly what they did here. They probably had one of those rails. They have these rails that you can basically set specific motions and timings for, and so they probably did 2 shots. They did one just along the rail, tracking backward along the backs of the chairs, and then one that was just, okay, set up, start, move, wait 14 minutes, then move again, wait 14 minutes, and so on. No one probably touched that camera once they rolled.
Russo's directed this.
Yep. That frame.
All right, so then we have Anthony Mackie, again, an obvious choice. Glad he's in it. Wouldn't expect him. I'd be very surprised, even as someone who still has yet to see. I'm one of the people who's going to react to it on this channel. Still hasn't seen Captain America: Brave New World. You've debated that he ought to be. He could be the leader.
Could be the leader.
Maybe not should be, but
I think
could be the leader.
It should be a part of the journey.
Okay.
I don't think it should be a de facto leader. I think what makes Cap interesting is he always thinks Captain America himself is always making sure it's an earned title that it's not just Captain. So I think Sam Wilson would be the same. I don't think he'd come in there like, I'm the Captain. Like, it just doesn't feel like Sam Wilson. I'm the Captain.
Yeah.
But I also like that it goes Thor, it goes OG Holy Trinity Avenger into Fantastic Four back to Holy Trinity. Because to me, it's Cap, Iron Man, and Thor. So Cap, Thor, and Vanessa Kirby.
And then after formerly Falcon, it is Winter Soldier Sebastian Stan.
Which is exciting, but also why ruin Thunderbolts had stakes until this reveal?
They reveal a lot here, right? Because you got Sebastian Stan in here, you got Winter Soldier, Letitia Wright, who I'm assuming will be Black Panther in
the
this
film. Yeah. But like Thunderbolts is coming out in May, and there was the whole stakes of maybe they die. And like, if anyone was going to die, it was going to be Sebastian Stan, right? Like that. To me,
is true.
And so like he's 3rd or 4th, and it's like, okay.
I haven't put thought into who from Thunderbolts is not on this list, so let's go through when they're done with Thunderbolts, and then let's re-examine who's not.
But that was my first
thought.
thought.
And then we'll know who lives in Thunderbolts and who dies in Thunderbolts.
Because he's Congressman Barnes, so that would be the impactful death in Thunderbolts because he's the beloved one, but now...
Well, he's got to fight evil, Chris Evans.
Yeah.
So Letitia Wright as Black Panther, I haven't heard any... I'm sure there's some pushback somewhere. I'm not bothered. She was Black Panther at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, for this being the culmination of that chapter of Avengers films. Yes. It would be weird if they suddenly had multiversal Black Panther,
new guy.
new T'Challa.
What up?
Yeah.
Aldous Hodge is Black Panther.
Yeah, I think follow through with your Letitia Wright. Paul Rudd in a normal chair in this video, but on the one they put on the stream, it was a tiny chair.
They have a different chair? Cowards. That's the funniest joke of the whole stream.
What's funny is that it wasn't ant sized, that chair. It was little person sized.
Yeah, it was like a
little child size. It wasn't an ant size.
Maybe it's an Easter egg for Endgame when he de-ages himself. Reading way too much into it.
Like, if you're going to commit to this bit, make it an ant-sized
go
chair.
fully
just going to say, make it an actual
little tiny
ant.
A on the back.
Yeah. Paul Rudd, I'm glad he's coming back too, of course, with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And it has me a little curious if they are going to acknowledge some of the Kang thing while we're on that subject, because Jonathan Majors has been back in the news cycle. He's been doing a lot of interviews, Magazine Dreams. He already had great feedback in it. That great feedback is just getting more solidified.
Yeah.
It's made me excited to see the film. I'm looking forward to it. I just saw the trailer on my own,
Dude,
like
so
last night, I think. Yeah, he looks very powerful in it.
Yeah.
And it would appear that, he's getting back into people's good graces, or people are willing to give him another chance.
Wrote a letter to Kevin Feige. I watched an interview where he was talking about like reaching out, not expecting anything, but just wanted to let him know like he's here. Intriguing. It's also intriguing that order-wise, we've covered a lot of Phase 2.
Sure.
Because we've gotten a Cap, Thor, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, and no Guardians yet. But otherwise, Ant-Man kind of solidifies the Phase 2 feel.
Well, with Paul Rudd in Quantumania, that post-credit scene or whatever, I don't know if it was, it's the post-credit scene with all the Kangs that was in Quantumania. So the last time we saw Paul Rudd, and he was also having his inner monologue about, oh shit, what has happened? Will he return? I think if you want to follow through and conclude, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I think there has to be an acknowledgement through his character.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or you just ignore it and we
ignore
all
it and we
cheer
move
at all the
along.
cameos.
Look at Downey.
Yeah. You know how we are. It happens to us too.
Thumbnails are coming.
We sound cynical, but then it works on us too. And we're in the theaters and like, oh yeah, I forgot until I was out of the theater.
I'm there opening night happy.
Yeah. Because again, sometimes it is just about that though.
I just want to be happy.
Sometimes it is just about the emotion.
Yeah.
In spite of how they distracted us from some of the shortcomings of writing that maybe they ought to follow up on. I'm already assuming they haven't done it. Yeah.
The other way happens too, where people assume No Way Home is not well written when I think it is because of the cameos. I think people go overly cynical when there are Easter eggs and cameos.
People often view things as very binary now.
Right, exactly. There's no like, oh, I have an issue with that, but I still overall blank. It's just like good, bad.
The answer to everything in life I have found is usually not yes or no, this or that. It's usually it depends.
Right.
Cameos are it depends. Cameos does not equal bad storytelling, bad writing, nostalgia bait. Does not equal that.
It can, but it's not.
Totally can, but not always.
And also, the Deadpool Wolverine actors were supporting characters. Like, I think the definition of cameo also has been mutilated. Like, people are like, oh, the Wesley Snipes cameo. I was like, he's fully in that movie for an act.
Yeah.
Like, he's in that. So, like, that's also an issue, I think, with this cultural misuse of words.
Yeah, I guess we should talk to studios and be like, what's like that time frame?
How? Because like Glenn Ross, Alec Baldwin got an Oscar for 5 minutes of screen time. Like there's terminology, I think, and now you've seen one of my favorite cameo outside of Stan Lee. Now that you've seen Eurotrip, that's a cameo.
Yeah, that's a
Matt
real
Damon
cameo.
is a cameo and the best cameo.
That's a great cameo. Wyatt Russell, surviving Thunderbolts, I see.
Another Captain America comes in.
I'm excited for Wyatt Russell. It's interesting how we often forget that both Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell are characters in the MCU.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for Wyatt Russell. There's this strange argument I'm seeing of defense for Nepo children who are like actors who are actually doing well. I forget who was just saying it. An actress who people like would say
Maya Hawke
or Amanda Seyfried. Someone was just saying that. I saw it on Twitter. Actually, I think it was today. We have to stop just condemning Nepo babies.
I think if you're talented, I don't care what your last name is.
I think Jack Quaid is an amazing example.
Jack Quaid is so talented.
I don't think of Meg Ryan. I don't think of Dennis Quaid. He is really his own lane.
What's funny to me is when I'm the opposite now. I was watching the Oscars and Meg Ryan came out and I was like, Jack's mom.
Oh, funny.
Like he's to me his own thing to the point where like it's I grew up with Top Gun. I grew up with The Day After Tomorrow. But Jack is such his own good actor that I respect each of their careers, but that's just Jack's mom now. But I think that if you're getting into the work, you fall off quickly if you're not worth your own last name. Like, you don't get to survive and just limp through it anymore. There's so many actors, and people are always like, yeah, but they're taking jobs away from other people. I'm like, no, they're good enough to stay.
I agree. And I think Wyatt Russell is
fantastic.
He's one of those interesting aspects of, if we're talking, there's got to be a nicer word than Nepo baby. It's a child actor of famous person.
Second of his name.
You know, he's one of those strange, because he's very much his own person, but there's a lot that does remind you of Kurt Russell.
So often.
He plays younger Kurt Russell in the Monarch show for a reason.
And I love embracing that. I think that's smart on his part, and I think it's smart of Jack to. Jack thinks like he uses Jack Quaid as like a funny thing. Like he's aware, and I like that he's like, look, I just want to work.
Yes, and I think Wyatt Russell is that interesting spot where he can remind you of Kurt Russell in a good way, and not in a cheap way. And I think he still does his own thing. And I feel like what he did in the episode I saw him in Black Mirror, I thought he was great in Monarch. And you're going toe to toe with your dad.
Yeah, who's one of the greats.
He's one of the greatest actors of all time. And of course, how he is in Falcon and Winter Soldier, that evolution of that character. When I see the Thunderbolts trailer, I'm excited for him. I think no one puts enough stock in Wyatt Russell. I'm sure there's other names on here that, in terms of watch time, they're like, man, these guys are taking freaking forever to get to the good
Wyatt Russell,
stuff.
we're excited.
But this is what we do here.
Yeah.
This one I was not expecting. This is one where I'm not fully surprised by it.
Okay.
I'm actually excited by it. I was one of the individuals who was dismayed by pushback on it, and pushback that I don't even remember the specifics as to pushback. I just remember the feeling of negative reception.
Okay.
Tenoch Huerta
Namor.
as Namor.
Yeah.
Is it Namor or Namor? I call him Namor.
In the comics, it's Namor. They made it Namor because it's without love.
Oh, yes.
Which I thought was a clever turn.
Yes. Well, I loved his presence in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. He was one of the names I was not expecting to see on here. So it's not a surprise that he's back. Not Namor doesn't die.
It's the first pop for me. This was in the window that I was watching, and I had the first one. I was like, oh, but like, I didn't love Namor in that take. I didn't dislike it. It's just, it was very far from the comics in a way that I didn't feel like was the character, and now that's the solidified version of the character. And it's one of those examples where it's just like, I see the character very differently.
Yeah.
And so like, I didn't love it, but I'm not excited to see him back, but it is surprising-ish.
Well, let's say I didn't have that built-in connection.
Association with the character.
Yeah, I was able to just take it literally on its own merits.
Yeah.
And within the context of the story. I understand that, though. I would not fault someone for that.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure no one ever does for you, Coy.
No, people love my opinions at all times. They're like, I agree with you no matter what. But that said, my first thought when his name popped up was, ooh, Sue Storm and Namor in one property. Because Sue Storm and Namor have friction and history.
Ooh.
And around Reed Richards' stretchy dick there.
Go on.
So sometimes Sue is hooking up with the King of Atlantis outside of marital bliss with Reed Richards, and that causes a rivalry between Atlantis and Earth because Reed is who he is, and they're two of the most genius men fighting over this powerhouse woman, and that's exciting for Doom. Like, I hope that plot happens.
I would love if this movie is just a setup for the next phase.
The big Avengers moment is just teeing up a love triangle with Pedro Pascal, what's his name?
Tenoch Huerta.
Tenoch Huerta and Vanessa Kirby, all about it. Because what's his name just started doing press about like Reed for the first time, and
Pedro.
Pedro's already started talking about certain stretchy
he
things.
was talking about how much of his body stretches.
Yeah,
Every part?
at the Jimmy Kimmel interview, I think that's when it came up.
So I'm just saying, like, Vanessa Kirby's perfectly satisfied, but I'm excited for this little love triangle.
Ebon Moss, is that the thing?
Yes, he's
Okay.
my favorite cast of that cast.
What a way to milk this with putting the forward characters from Fantastic Four
Times 14 minutes, that's 56 minutes. 1 hour of this is the Fantastic Four.
Could have just said Fantastic. I know exactly. You could have just said Fantastic Four.
4 times 14 minutes is an absurd 56 minutes. But I think Ebon Moss-Bachrach is like one of those castings that's like top tier. I think he's going to crush.
Simu Liu.
That one was a bit of pop. That was, I think, one of the last ones I saw where I was like, oh, that makes sense. But also, like, where's he been?
When Daniel Distin was attached, I thought for sure Simu Liu would 100% be in this. Then when he wasn't attached, I questioned whether or not Simu will be in it.
Right.
And I'm, again, not surprised he's in it. I'm excited for him to come back because we haven't seen Shang-Chi outside of like a What If episode in a very long time. But he's done some other stuff in between. He's in Barbie.
He's fantastic. I feel like he had the biggest pop of Phase 4, and then it's weird that it's been like...
But that weirdly makes it more exciting to see him
True.
again.
Oh, 100%. That name got a bigger moment for me because it's been so long.
Yeah, it's one of those where like, ooh, I didn't realize I missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited for him, man. I'm excited for him. Florence Pugh, she survives.
She makes it out of Thunderbolts.
She lives Thunderbolts. Okay, so we have
Black
Florence
Widow,
Black
Thor,
Widow.
Captain America.
Is she called Black
She's
Widow?
White Widow, but, you
Yeah.
know, a Black Widow type.
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm trying to think of the Holy Trinity. The 5 was...
Black Widow, evil Captain America. 2 hours of sleep, ER, Dane.
There was a good cap, a bad cap.
Bad Cap, Bad Widow.
Yeah.
And Bucky.
Yeah.
And-
So they all make it.
Okay, all right, here we go. Florence Pugh. I'm excited for her to be in an Avengers movie. First
Yes.
Avengers movie, though. This is exciting to me. Kelsey Grammer returning as Beast because I was not a fan of CGI Beast. Got a lot of flack for not being a fan of that. It's one of those things that when you first express that, you know the people who really don't want to hear that at the time, even if they don't have a problem that they just don't want to hear it, are going to climb down your throats. And then eventually there's going to be a wave of people being like, no, this, you're right.
Yeah.
And of course, it's still back and forth. It's debatable. I'm not right or wrong. It's just my opinion, my perspective. And I appreciate that they did go to make him look more comic accurate, I suppose. I still feel like tangibility and feeling like you could actually touch this guy makes it more impactful than comic accurate CGI. Just my opinion.
My hot take, he should be X-Men 97's Beast continuity, and that they should lean into the animated like he should be 2D.
Oh, really?
Because he looks so 2D.
But still do Kelsey Grammer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
I
what you
think
mean.
it'd be funny if he was the canon from X-Men 97, where he's a 2D cartoon, and that explains how 2D that CGI looked.
Whoa. Okay. Yep.
Because
Fine.
remember, I wanted animated multiverse scenes. Remember the breakdown we did at your house like forever ago? And I was like, there was those 4 frames of animation when it was going through the multiverse.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're going to bring it all in. Nope,
trailer.
Let's not.
Good trailer.
Good trailer. Kelsey Grammer's excited.
Is this guy Sentry? Lewis Pullman?
Lewis Pullman, Sentry and Bob.
Fucking A, man.
Dude, Bob's in it.
Did they really?
Guess he makes it.
Oh, my God.
Guess he makes it
They
through
just-
Thunderbolts.
What is this?
They're just telling
What
you
a
the
bunch of
villain makes it through.
bullshit.
Hey,
I didn't
guys,
even know
Thunderbolts.
about this one.
Thunderbolts out in May.
I was just going through my head of like,
Who's this man?
it's all right. We already did the guy from The Thing who I don't know. Who else do I not know? I'm like, it's got to be Sentry. Wow.
I guess he makes it. Sentry's in. Another second of his name? Bill Pullman's son.
Who have we not heard? We haven't heard the Taskmaster,
Yep.
Ghost.
Haven't heard David Harbour.
Taskmaster, Ghost, and David Harbour. Red Guardian. Yeah. Lewis Pullman, Danny Ramirez. The new
I'm
Falcon.
glad they're not killing the villain. I mean, I hate that I know it, but
All right, Dan Ramirez.
Ramirez.
New Falcon coming off for Captain America. Good for him. Joseph Quinn, Human Torch. Yes. Exciting.
but of course.
David Harbour.
Oh, he makes it.
He makes it.
Guess he pulls through.
David Harbour makes
All right,
it.
so this is where I don't know yet. I had not seen David Harbour.
Yeah.
This is new to me.
Yeah, to clarify, some of these names I didn't catch because I was only seeing some like tweets that came out.
I didn't know Quinn. I didn't know Harbour though, and that does make Thunderbolts.
Yeah, the one that really took off was the title X-Men characters, those two. Winston Duke is back.
Hey, that's exciting.
Of course he
He's
has
so
to
good,
be.
man. And Mbaku's
He
incredible.
has to be. Hannah John Kamen. Is that Ghost?
Ghost. Jesus. So the Thunderbolts make it. That's so funny.
Not Taskmaster.
Oh, so far not Taskmaster. That's a Bond girl.
She's barely in the trailer though, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't make it. There's no way.
She's
If she's
probably
not in
dead.
this list and barely in the trailer,
Oh, they totally kill her off for steaks
to
or
show
something.
it, yeah, like anyone's disposable except
Yeah.
everyone in Doomsday as released today.
If you think we're spoiling it, we're not the ones. We just did
They
some
made
basic
choices.
deduction here off of. There's one cast member missing who's also barely in the trailer.
Oh, wonder how that goes.
Wow, there you go. Easter eggs. Have that new rock stars. Tom,
The actor
Tom,
you're thinking of is Olga Kurylenko.
Kurlienko.
nice.
Thank you. It was driving me crazy.
Thomas the Hiddleston is back. Ooh, which Loki
That's
is
a big
he?
pop. Okay,
It's
that's a
gotta-
moment.
It's got to be the Loki season 2
God of
Loki, right?
stories. Gotta be, because, well, mainstream continuity's dead. Got killed by Thanos. And then there's 2 chains that we've lived on timelines with.
Wow, that does change the narrative of what you would imagine this story to be.
I wonder if, I mean, I don't think they'd do this, but what if they have him do the Kang stuff? Like they just tag in, like all the timey-wimey they were going to do with Kang is now going to be Loki.
I feel like that makes sense considering the way it ends.
I thought it ended so perfect. I love Tom Hiddleston. I did not want to see him again because of
Yeah.
how good it ended. I'm so afraid of them like, well,
But we can make him funny.
yeah, it's great. We'll make him a villain again for funsies. Just put him in. Oh, it ended so perfect. He had the perfect arc.
How would you weave this in?
It's
How
gotta
would you
be
like go to
omnipotent.
this?
I hope they don't kill him with make God Emperor Doom. I'm really afraid they're gonna God Emperor. I feel like the power scaling of Doom required him to kill Kang, and if Kang's not in it, they're gonna need a power scaling moment with Loki, and they're gonna kill Loki with Doom to make him God Emperor Doom. That's my fear.
I agree. I think that the way how they did Infinity War, where that was Thanos' story, and then they do the other ones with the Avengers as the leads. I think that's what they're doing right now, right? Where they'll probably
Doomsday.
do a Doom's journey and
Yeah.
like get to know Doom from his
Because we
perspective.
just met him.
So I mean, I imagine they probably allow to see some of maybe like the first act focuses on his actual character arc. Still gloss it over in like 30 minutes though. If they did that, I don't know what they're gonna do.
It's only got 20 cast members so far. They got plenty of time.
But we'll talk more about Robert Downey Jr. In a minute. Patrick Stewart. This is when I saw a photo. I was like, oh, Ooh, cool.
That confirms a lot. I mean, I've been saying since Deadpool and Wolverine that they were saving all the Fox stuff for this.
Good. That's probably why they didn't allow some of the cameos to actually
100%.
be.
That's why they just voiced it. They were like, and when they all died, but we don't show them.
Yeah, there is a strong implication that they're not going to let them use that. That's probably why they didn't let them use. That's why they didn't let them use Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
because they knew he would come back and it could soften the impact of that.
And I'm pretty sure they filmed a post-credit scene with Downey Jr.
Well,
for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, Patrick Stewart though.
That's exciting.
I'm really excited because the enthusiasm when you first hear his voice in the Multiverse of Madness trailer does not live up to what happens in the movie.
Nope.
And
but they can fix that now.
Every time I watch what happens in the movie, I'm more disappointed.
Yeah.
Because of how he just goes out. And I'm like, oh man, that's the last Patrick Stewart performance we'll get of Professor X.
So glad that's not true.
And I really hope they course correct this because I can only assume who the next name is. And this is like, again, exciting, but not surprising. Ian McKellen.
So I didn't know Ian McKellen. I knew Patrick Stewart and I knew Beast. So I thought the Marvels and obviously Multiverse of Madness, those the X-Men we've had so far, they won't reveal anymore. And then you just said Ian McKellen was like, guess they will. Now I'm like, James Marsden might be on here. Halle Berry might be on here. Who knows?
I haven't heard.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, now that they've opened the Ian McKellen has not appeared in the MCU. Now he has. So, like, to me, this opens all of that floodgate.
I flashed to when they were all doing press for Logan on Graham Norton, and Ian McKellen was ribbing about how he wasn't invited to be in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, and after, it's been a long time since we've seen specifically Ian McKellen as Magneto, right? Days of Future Past was the last one.
Yeah, it's like 15 years ago.
And even then, that Magneto was more Michael Fassbender focused.
Screen time wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Ooh, I wonder if McAvoy or Fassbender are on here.
And they're great. They have great chemistry.
And
they're great
still
friends.
so perfect. And McAvoy loves it still. Like McAvoy would love to come back.
I think McAvoy and Fassbender and Patrick Stewart and McKellen are perfect casting for both of them.
Secret Wars and Doomsday.
They both bring differences, but they're perfect for those characters. And even for Ian McKellen, when I think of Magneto, I do think of like a buff guy, but yet he plays him so perfectly that Magneto. I think you can get away with Magneto not being buff because none of his powers require him to be buff. Yeah, the physical stature of him, no necessity.
He literally
for it.
wields the elements of the earth. Like he doesn't need to work out.
But this gets me excited because X-Men 2000, beyond Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were some of the most apt casting you could have had, and they brought a level of gravitas
to the whole genre,
respect to the genre to get both of those guys in there. And around the time of Ian McKellen is one of those actors who has seemed like he's a senior citizen to me for his entire life.
Him and Sam Jackson just born and Morgan Freeman. They were all born very old.
They just seem like they came out and for the last 60 years they've been 80 years old. And Ian McKellen was one of those guys where for a lot of us, his rise to fame, I know he did other stuff before. He's mainly a theater actor. But his rise to fame was Magneto and Gandalf in terms of cultural impact.
Yep.
And to go back to this, very exciting and only fitting to me.
Also, if they get somehow McAvoy and Fassbender to come back, that perfectly ties into Loki with God of Story stuff. That'd be fun to play with time and all those elements.
Well, let's keep going through this, but then let me just make a little note here so I don't forget, because I want to talk about which X-Men it'll be.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're going to like tangent too much on that. So just make a little note here so I don't forget. X-Men Men Who. And let's go next. Alan Cumming is going to be in this.
Reject Nation, I love partnering with brands that I was already using that I get to use more now because I'm on a specific macro plan, because Six Pack Greg is going to be 2025. I'm bringing you guys on my journey. January 25th, that's when I committed to my macro plan diet. Started at 218 pounds, and as of today of filming this, I am now down to 191.2. And yes, discipline, whatever, but let's be real. I need convenience. Like a lot of you, long work days, workouts, and I don't always have the time to cook or prep meals or learn to. And that's why I keep Huel in my routine. It makes eating healthy simple. You can buy them prepackaged or use the powder like I've been putting in this one, and it's great. Because Huel's Black Edition Ready to Drink is a complete meal in a bottle, packed with 35 grams of protein and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, so you're not just filling up, you're fueling up. Not just looking good, but feeling good. good. It's efficient, no cooking, no meal prep. Just grab it, drink it, donezo. It actually tastes great. A lot of protein shakes, you know how they taste. Come on, do I really need to tell you? They're not good. But this one's smooth, delicious, tasty, and no chalky aftertaste. Low sugar, high protein, great macros. Fits into my plan without ruining my progress. Yes! And they've got more flavors than ever. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, banana, iced coffee, or if you can't decide, you grab a variety box. Take the guesswork out of eating well. And another thing too, it's affordable. Each bottle is under $5, making an easy choice for anyone who's looking for a quick, nutritious meal. So if you want to try giving your body something that's good for you and also help support the channel along the way, you can go to Huel.com, use my code REJECTS, and get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. That's Huel.com, code REJECTS. Fuel your body even on the go. You'll love it.
That's so cool.
Nightcrawler confirmed? Oh, that's exciting.
I don't even remember who played him in Apocalypse.
Cody Smith McPhee.
Damn, Coy. Good job.
Ready with it.
Did you
Schmo
interview
down.
him or
You
something?
took the word right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
The actor I weirdly name a lot.
Cody Smith McPhee?
Wow.
For some reason.
no,
Because
we-
every time I do, then Greg comments on, like, how do you know that guy's name?
I never just commit this dude's name to memory.
I had a weirdly long talk with him at a premiere one, Power of the Dog, I think it was. We had a premiere conversation where he talked about how much he loved Nightcrawler, and the whole time he's such an interesting looking dude. I kept finding myself being like, "You're so fascinating," and so I remember him because I was like, "What an enchanting tall fellow!" Like he left a really interesting impression on me because he's so intense and earnest at
Yeah.
once.
Ooh,
He's cool. I like that kid.
I hope Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are not in this
Me
one.
too. Please don't put
I
him in
would
this.
like them to be in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Not
Save
this
something.
one. Based off of what we're seeing, since we got 30 more seconds on this. Based off what, because I stopped around Ian McKellen. I didn't stop. That was the last one I heard. My thought process is in X-Men 97, people who stole the show in terms of characters we've seen live action portrayals of. Beast wasn't as huge in X-Men 97, but it's Kelsey Grammer.
Yep.
Magneto got a big resurgence with that show. Professor X. Nightcrawler had a really standout episode. Alan Cumming in X2, X-Men United. The opening scene is considered one of the best comic book scenes of all time at the White House.
And we haven't seen anything else of him in that space.
No, and he's perfect in that movie. I actually don't even know the behind the scenes of why he wasn't invited back.
I think he just didn't get along with the team in some way. I'm not sure though.
Oh. I hope
this
that
is a different
changes.
team.
Spy Kids. I hope it changes.
That said, you gave me a X-Men 97.
I was thinking Cyclops should be here, James Marsden, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking Halle Berry should be here.
You said X-Men 97. Channing Tatum? Do you think Gambit's on
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Because he's been fighting to come back as Gambit. That would be exciting.
Rebecca Romijn. Oh my God.
No way!
They're doing the whole
Rebecca
thing.
Romijn's back? Why are they telling us this though? I just went from excited to upset. I don't want to know this. Why do we know this, Greg? It's too soon.
So they must be going to the OG. I so want to go into the X-Men talk now because after seeing Beast, I would go towards it's a different universe, not the Fox universe. But if you're doing
This
Alan
is that
Cumming, you're doing
universe,
Rebecca
100%.
Romijn, not Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
I would imagine that it is the original X-Men trilogy.
I think they're getting the OG, which is exciting, dude. This is, and then I hope maybe they do the new era in Secret Wars.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's just funny to me because, like, Patrick Stewart I've thrown there too as someone who's been old his entire life.
100%.
Patrick Stewart and Magneto, they could come back and just be like, yeah, they haven't aged a day because they've always been old. Whereas like Rebecca Romijn and Alan Cumming get the benefit of being in makeup.
Their 20s. Oh, yeah, that's true. And they're just gonna have to be. Yeah. When you're blue, you get the makeup.
Yeah, or CGI.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Please, for the love of God, you're already doing it to Beast. Please do not do it to Nightcrawler. Please do not do it to Mystique.
Practical effects
Please.
were gorgeous, and it looked great.
You do not sell Rebecca Romijn on, hey, you can do it, but you don't have to be in makeup for 10 hours. No, you punish that actress.
Yeah.
Makeup chair, 12 hours, $1,000 an hour, or whatever it equates to over the course of filming a
Please.
cameo. Do it.
I love that the X-Men are back. That's exciting. I hate that I know, though.
Fuck yeah! James Marsden's in this.
Cyclops redemption! Channing Tatum and Cyclops redemption!
They did it!
Wait, are they going to make Gambit in canon of the old X-Men continuity? Are they going to tie him back in as he should have been? Because technically he should have been the First Class continuity, but they could.
There's the Origins one.
That's Taylor Kish.
Yeah, I know. Shouldn't it be that one then?
Well, that's
That doesn't count. No one really likes that
Nobody
one.
talks about
the
those.
whole.
Those are
That whole
fun.
movie has become
It's been
about
retconned.
disregarding.
Yeah,
that
that's
movie.
like the point. But like Channing Tatum, James Marsden, like that's. Dude, James Marsden, please give him leadership moments. Please let him lead the X-Men. That is amazing. I'm so happy
If
for
I
him.
can be totally honest with you guys, I know that Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart is probably one of the most exciting ones for a lot of people. I bet Channing Tatum is definitely
I'm
like
excited about
the fact that he gets to continue on beyond, like how he first, because it's interesting what happened in Deadpool and Wolverine, right? He first showed up as being able to pay off, but it was like hilarious.
Yeah.
And it kind of came across like, oh, it's a joke cameo.
Right.
And then he gets to be really badass all of a
Yeah.
sudden. You're like, never mind. He gets
can
to
do
be
this?
both. Yeah, he could actually be Gambit.
Yeah.
Because he comes across on screen, he looks silly. And then he's saying stuff that is intentionally about making fun of his Cajun accent. And then when he's doing badass moments, you're like, damn, Channing Tatum could have been Gambit. Holy
Yeah.
shit. And then he has the ultimate meme line. I'm
Make
about
a
to
name
make
for
a name
myself,
for
right?
yeah, I'm about to make a name for myself. That one. And so the fact that he gets to continue on.
Hopefully dramatically, like Thor, how he, in the Endgame movies, he gets
Exactly.
to balance the comedy and drama. That makes me
I'm
happy.
glad we brought up Endgame and Thor
Yeah,
to liken
it's
it to that.
exactly that. And dude, Marsden, if he actually gets to lead,
I'm not gonna lie, it's James Marsden. for
Dude, that
me.
is so exciting.
That is personally my favorite because everyone knows the letdown.
of him personally and the movies.
But James Marsden is a talent. I really, really feel this. He is so overlooked for what he does in those Sonic movies.
Dude, it's such a balancing act of like miming and comedy. And like, I think he's one of those actors that's so handsome, people don't realize he's talented. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just too good looking for people to be like, what a good actor.
What is that? Paradise? The show he's on right now?
Yeah, with Sterling K. Brown. Dude, I've only seen 2 episodes. It's amazing.
I know his show's impactful when I have like family members hitting me up being
seen
like,
Paradise?
you should react to Paradise. And I'm like, what is Paradise?
The first 2 episodes are great. Sterling K. Brown is a force of
People
nature.
love it. And I think James Marsden sometimes is that character who, in stuff where people forget just how effective he is no matter the genre the guy
Yeah.
is in. Enchanted is another
Dude,
example.
he's so good in those movies.
He's amazing in those movies. And
The Notebook?
The Notebook, he's great in
You
it.
somehow are like, wait, I kind of get where he's coming from. Opposite Ryan Gosling.
Creates
Like,
a conflict, yeah.
dude, he's so good.
And I honestly, in Sonic, that is the one where I feel the most for him because I'm like, Jim Carrey gets all the credit. The humans
Yeah.
get pushed back.
The
but
voice of
James
Ben Schwartz.
Marsden is very, very, very impactful in those films, particularly that first one.
The first Sonic movie, or the second one. Well, I went to the premiere of one of the Sonic movies, and I was going to leave to grab popcorn, and I collided physically with James Marsden, like the shoulder to shoulder, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Look up, it's James Marsden. And we had that moment of like, I have to say something except I'm sorry. And I was like, hey, thanks for caring so much about Cyclops. I could tell you did, even if they didn't let you in the movie. And like, he literally stopped his handlers and was like, thank you, man. I love Scott. And I was like, he cares. And we just had this really like 10-second moment of him like looking me in the eye and going like, thanks for knowing that I care.
cool.
And ever since I've been like, please give him his moment.
Oh my God. You know what I would love? I'm totally freaking out at the possibility of this. The yellow spandex line. And if they give him comic
reverse it,
accurate suit.
and they let him reverse
oh,
it,
shit.
like, in the
How
show?
cool would that? Yes,
Dude, if they
exactly.
let-
And the fact that he's older now
Yeah.
and not some young hotshot and he can be aged Cyclops.
Dude, I want him to have the X over his eyes. I want that dope suit.
Ooh, and if he could actually do like Cyclops maneuvers without having to press the visor.
Dude, what if he like drops out of the plane and uses his optic blast to slow him down, like the Cyclops like
Yes.
crazy video game moves?
the opening fight
power
scene in the
slides?
97?
The
Yes,
power
that's
slides
exactly what I was
through
getting
the
at. The
optic
power
blast,
slide in that
'cause
moment.
it's concussive. It's not
Oh,
heat.
yes.
People mislabel it. It's not heat. It's concussive.
Well,
Let Cyclops concuss.
This is going to be cool. Maybe he'll be like a grieving one. Let me see who else
Dude,
is on
let
this
him
list
be in this
before
for
we
a
get
while.
further. Pedro Pascal, yes, a very obvious one. Thank you,
Is that
Robert.
the last Fantastic?
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. What is this?
What?
I haven't even seen this. What? Okay.
there a
Does
video?
he say something? I'm going to try to play this
Is
loudly.
it physically him?
Corey, just come into my camera for a
All right,
second.
hold.
Since we've never seen this before. All right, let's try to. John, can you do me a favor? Can you make sure we're both in the shot to react to
Where do
this?
I?
You,
good?
yeah, that's pretty good, Corey.
Okay,
You've
all
got
right.
a nice little two-shot.
I've not seen this. Let's watch this. All right. That's Iron Man, all right. That is not Dr. Doom to me.
I'm conflicted.
Oh man. Oh man,
I can't. Like, there was a physical. I mean, I'm sure he sat there 6 hours.
I know, right? Yeah.
That's exciting to have that little beat, but also it does kind of reaffirm every one of my concerns.
Yeah, it just feels like Iron Man. Like Robert Downey Jr. feels more like Iron Man. I don't know. Let's wait.
When I think of Doom, I think quirky.
We'll see. I was hoping that he would do something that kind of reflects
To
Doom.
show that he's going to be Victor, not.
This is like, that feels like what Iron Man would do.
Yeah, that's an Iron Man beat.
But the Russo brothers did come out and say that the fact that it's Robert Downey Jr. is very intentional casting,
story.
linking to Endgame,
Yeah.
the death of Tony Stark. So, I mean, but I don't feel like they needed to say that. Like, of course it is. Why else would they need Robert Downey Jr. to be the role?
Right.
Unless,
and that
of
was
course, it
what
linked.
got them back in. Like,
Yeah.
that's what made them want to do the story, is like whatever that
Because according to them, it was, dude, I'm still so psyched about Cyclops. But according to them, I just hope they really do James Marsden Redemption.
dude, he
Holy
loves
shit.
the character so much.
Damn, I'm so rooting for that.
That's
I'm
exciting.
so rooting for that. He is the one who was robbed. And he got that death. He got that terrible death.
Off camera.
He got that terrible
in
death.
X-Men 3 because he was filming on Superman and they like punished him for it.
And then he came back for a second at the end of Days of Future Past, and he never
wanted
got
so
his
much
through.
more.
Never. And instead, John named that other Cyclops.
That would be Ty
Boy,
Sheridan.
There you go. Damn, son. Way to
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Ty Sheridan doing the work.
Good job.
Sometimes I pull him out.
Ty Sheridan.
But yeah, I
Cody
think.
Smith McPhee.
Well, look, we've talked plenty about our concerns about the Robert Downey Jr. side. We don't need to beat a dead horse.
No.
There are names who I imagine will be in Secret Wars, who I think would be fun to talk about really quick.
X-Men First Class cast.
X-Men
I want
First
the other
Class.
X-Men.
Yeah, I thought Spider-Man would be mentioned in this. I'm kind of glad he's not, though.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, maybe it'd be cool to have Spider-Man 4 bring him into Secret Wars.
I think, though, that if you're going to do, in my personal opinion, I think if you are going to do Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, having characters who you associate as having a strong relationship with Tony Stark would make it powerful. I'm like, don't shy away from it then.
Because it's obvious you're going that way.
Lean into it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have just your Doctor Doom with some acknowledgement that it's linked to Robert Downey Jr. You lean into it hardcore. That way it feels vital to the storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Holland in particular.
Yeah, he's like the son of.
And I think it would be kind of glossed over in a Secret Wars because there's going to be like a million more people in it.
Right.
Oh, also, there's no Captain Marvel. There's no Marvels at all. There's no Miss Marvel.
No Kamala Khan.
There's no Kamala Khan. There's
Mon
no.
Vellani, sorry.
There's no Tiana Paris.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau. There's no Nick Fury.
There's no Sony characters at all.
No Craven.
No, I mean, obviously.
No Rhino?
but like Ghost Rider, that era of stuff.
Oh yeah,
No
yeah.
Mahershala.
No Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
No Mahershala?
No Mahershala, no Blade.
No Blade of Mahershala. No Eternals.
Not a one.
But somehow they're going to go to the God of Stories, but they can't reach the Celestial.
Interesting. Is there anyone else that's obvious missing?
Well,
Luis.
No Don Cheadle?
No Luis.
Oh,
no,
yeah?
No Don Cheadle.
Neither Iron Man, Dominique Thorne, nor Don Cheadle.
No Moon Knight.
No TV actors at all. No Charlie Cox, no John Bernthal.
I think
That should be Secret Wars. That'd be dope.
I think, well, I mean, for another video, because I think it would be cool to do like a separate video for it. Please remind us in the comments. Let us know if you've made it this far, if you want to hear this in another video. It would be smart for them to really embrace their R rating on TV, as they're doing with Punisher and Daredevil.
I agree.
Do their Midnight Suns.
So it seemed like they were going for.
Yeah, that way you could do your Moon Knight and
Yeah.
have the mix in
Werewolf by Night, like lean into that supernatural occult side.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I hope they do at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm not bummed about who we didn't hear because I'm already like, that's a lot of people. No Bruce Banner. No Hulk.
No Ruffalo at all.
No Hulk. Wow. Again, I feel like if you're doing no Doctor Strange, I feel like if you are doing your characters who knew Tony Stark, that's the ones who should be in Doomsday.
And those are the ones that weren't listed really. No Ruffalo, no Benedict.
But
No Renner.
No Renner, yeah. To explore the other side of it, though, it maybe does allow it to, instead of a whole bunch of characters being like, you look like Tony. No, you must be like Tony.
Crazy.
Yeah. Instead of a whole bunch of that in a movie, it might actually help elevate to allow him to be more a standalone and on his own instead of that association. But I think you got to kind of acknowledge, my personal opinion is you got to acknowledge it right away. I don't know. But because of the casting, because it seems like a lot of these guys don't have a personal connection with who in the cast. Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
Thor does.
There might be
obviously.
a reason why they led with Thor. There might be a reason why they kicked off with Chris Hemsworth because he's the only OG Avenger in here,
Paul
right?
Rudd-ish Civil War, but he was on the other side. It's an ish. It's just he was around.
Yeah.
Letitia Wright really doesn't. She kind of could with the science stuff, but they didn't really go that way. It's really kind of the people that don't have an association. None of the
Fascinating,
Guardians.
right? Yeah. Oh, none of the Guardians. No Star-Lord. And they said
Chris
Star-Lord
Pratt
will
said
return.
yeah.
No Vision, no Wanda.
Yeah. I didn't expect Wanda, but I kind of expected Vision because of White Vision.
Okay.
Didn't expect them to confirm all the Thunderbolts.
So maybe Secret Wars is a whole bunch of people being like, no, you're Tony Stark here.
After his origin. What are you doing?
Yeah. We know the real you.
You were so nice to me.
Let's take you to the TVA and play your timeline flashback for you.
I
Here
hope
you
this
are.
heals you, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
Avengers react.
We'll go through your Loki episode 1 arc where we just play for you a timeline of what you could have been.
I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm a little the Downey moment, it was a cool pop, but I definitely feel like it, like even Oppenheimer, that character feels more like Doom. That felt like Tony.
Well, Robert feels more, at least the online presence that he brings, or the media presence that Robert Downey Jr. brings, feels like Tony Stark.
Right.
You know, obviously we don't know him in real life, so he's probably much
Calmer.
Calmer, yeah.
At times, at least.
And sometimes you get that purview of him in certain interviews, but a lot of time, you know, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's a fun list. Okay, so we kind of went through it all, right? We did it all.
We did it all?
We did it all. I think that's a good, efficient video. I had fun doing that. That was nice.
I'm glad I stopped before the big names.
James Marsden's the one that just jazzed me so
Channing
much.
Tatum and James Marsden are my two. Because I'm really just Channing Tatum fought for as long as Ryan Reynolds did, but I feel like Ryan Reynolds was a lot more public. So Channing doesn't have quite the same like legend of wanting to be the thing. But Channing Tatum had like a completed script. They had a cast. They had locations. They shut down the Gambit movie like 2 weeks out from filming. That would be so heartbreaking. He dressed as Gambit as a child.
Yeah, and I think he nailed the Cajun accent's not easy.
No, but like to imagine being a 7-year-old and becoming an actor and putting everything, forging your career, getting your dream role that you dressed as a kid, getting locations, thinking it's happening, and then losing it for you think ever, and then getting to it in Deadpool, and then like maybe never again. Like that, there's something really special about him getting to do it in an Avengers film, to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man. Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, this is awesome. This is fun. I'm glad we got to do this again.
Yeah.
John, thank you for all the contribution as well and for setting everything up before we got here. And Coy, appreciate you readjusting.
Just in time.
Glad you're back in time for the biggest piece of movie news we could have covered in a long time.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what people think. This was a fun way to do the breakdown. I'm really curious the impact this has on the conversation leading into CinemaCon, because Disney's going to have a presentation next week. So I'm curious, like doing something like this right before CinemaCon, I'm curious what they're going to be showing and telling.
They're just going to bring out all the director's chairs.
They're just going to set them out.
Yeah,
and we're going to look at them.
Just putting it on
We're just going to look at them down there.
And as you guys heard, Robert Downey Jr. in just this little director's chair.
And a little Ant-Man chair. But yeah, I think
they should do that.
They really should.
They should have like on the floor the little Ant-Man chair. I'll commit to it.
I would
not a little person chair.
I would buy that.
Ant-Man chair.
I'd put that prop somewhere in my house.
Ooh,
That's
I would totally buy that.
That's such a good gimmick.
We should make that shirt.
Yes.
We should just make that shirt a little tiny
little
one.
ant chair.
Tiny little ant Paul. I'm hitting up Aaron right now. Fuck, we gotta do that right now.
All right, let's get on it. I told you
Aaron
it was an instant
Alexander's
meme.
on the horn.
Yeah.
It's an immediate meme. They did change a cultural moment. Like that's what you want out of advertising. It worked. It's just crazy. 6 hours.
That's funny.
And we just watched it in a minute and a half.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I'm curious. Now next week's CinemaCon, so I'm really curious if anything comes from it.
I'm curious too. Well, got to get to working on thumbnails and video editing and all that. And Prepper, I know you're going to do an excellent job editing this down. Thanks to Multihouse again for letting us have this space. We're also doing, for those who are real loyalists here of Real Rejects, Sean and I are starting up. We're moving Real Rejects Diary Real Reject. It's going to be more like Real Rejects Diaries. You'll know what I mean when you watch it. It's going to be a John and Greg show on a different channel with these guys over here. It's a real personal thing. I'll tell you guys about it later or when it launches. I'll just share the video. You're going to love it. Anyway, guys, got to get to work. Much love. See you guys soon. Peace.